Tasmania's Maria Island Marine Reserve is one of 4 protected marine areas created in 1991. Covering 12.5 square kilometres, the Maria Island Reserve is the most accessible of Tasmania's larger marine reserves. A last-minute change at the time of proclamation allows fishing in the eastern part of the reserve. Today, along Tasmania's coastline of almost 5,000 kilometres, 7 marine reserves protect just over 5% of Tasmania's state waters. Why are marine reserves important? What do we learn from them? Let's ask some of the people who have worked at the Maria Island Marine Reserve. Neville Barrett is a marine scientist with Taffy Marine Research Laboratories.
The Maria Island Marine Park has tremendous value for a range of reasons. The primary one's its conservation value, really, because it's the only area on the east coast of Tasmania that's fully protected, particularly with a broad range of habitats ranging from seagrass and the shelter locations out round to a little bit more exposed reef. From that point of view, it provides quite an extensive conservation value, protecting quite a wide range of species, but also has quite significant scientific merit. From a research point of view, it has quite a significant value as well, because it allows us to work on a range of species unimpeded by people impacting on the animals that we're studying. We can also get a lot of growth information. We can tag a lot of animals and measure and recapture them over periods of time to actually see how fast they're growing and how old they live. And again, it's pretty much impossible to do that outside of a marine park like Maria Island, because people basically capture the animals before we get a chance to recapture them ourselves, and they're lost to science.
Meet Mick Barron, dive centre operator in southern Tasmania.
I've been associated with and started a dive centre, scuba diving centre training organisation on the Tasman Peninsula over 15 years ago. I've been diving the coast of Tasmania, well, since 1972, and in that time, of course, have seen many changes. We now have hundreds of international visitors come through. Many of them ask me, where is the marine reserve? I'm quite surprised that an operator does not have a marine reserve to operate within. They ask me, why isn't there a marine reserve in such a marine biodiversity high area? I would like to be able to show my child some places that I used to dive. There are no places really available now that I could show him what it used to be like. Maybe the Marine Reserve in Maria Island is an exception, but other than those protected areas, there are no areas that are similar, even comparable to what it was 30 years ago. In my view, there are other things other than extractive activities that the ocean for the future should be used for.
Meet Christian Bell, CEO of the Tasmanian Conservation Trust.
Well, marine reserves are just fantastic natural locations in the sea. Unfortunately, we don't really have that in the marine environment the same way that we have terrestrially most all over Tasmania. We've only got a tiny fraction of our marine environment protected in marine reserves. And people want to see fish, they want to see it live, they want to see them in natural circumstances. And they've got that here in Tasmania. We've got some fantastic marine reserves, particularly the one at Maria, and it's a real opportunity for people to go and see them. Essentially, Tasmania was at the cutting edge, really, basically, of creating reserves in the 1990s. It wasn't created without any opposition, of course. There was a considerable amount of opposition at the time. But I think what you find when you actually create the reserve is the opposition basically dissipates. We found that particularly true of places like Governor Island Marine Reserve at Bicheno, and I really recommend that. Even if you can go over town now, you'll basically only find people that have a good word to say about the reserve. Maria is basically a place of world-leading research. After the Great Barrier Reef, it's the reserve that's most quoted in the international literature in marine science. So that's something Tasmanians should be immensely proud of. It's a fantastic data set. It's assisting us with the management of fisheries in general. That information is very important when we look at the changes occurring in the marine ecosystems around Tasmania. And it's really something that should be well worth supporting, and particularly financially.
In the late 1800s, Tasmania's first land reserves at places like Mount Field and Freycinet Peninsula were proclaimed. These reserves were proclaimed under the Waste Lands Act because at the time the land was considered worthless for any practical purpose. Today, we know that many of these precious places are of international significance. It's important that in the future we protect more of Tasmania's marine environment. Who can say what essential knowledge is waiting for tomorrow's scientists to discover along the shores and beneath the surface of the sea?